Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hi. So let's bring on Adrianne and Frank, and let's welcome the first new head of DE&I for Cannes Lions.
Thank you. All right, that's what an intro. Appreciate you. Amazing. Well, really glad to be here. I'm just going to get into it. So I'm Frank Starling. I'm VP of Diversity, Equity and Inclusion here at Cannes Lions. And I'd like to welcome you to Inkwell Beach and the International Festival of Creativity. Let's get a round of applause for that. What an amazing place to be. And today we celebrate at the picturesque shores of Inkwell Beach, now in its 5th year, where CCDC its presence at Cannes Lions continues to champion the intersections of diversity, equity, inclusion, innovation, and creativity in the industry. And CCDC's Inkwell Beach at Cannes is the first standalone activation specifically focused on elevating the conversation of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the history of the Cannes Lions Festival. I think that deserves another round of applause. I mean, that's an amazing achievement. In addition, we honor the awe-inspiring 70th anniversary of Cannes Lions. So throughout the week, we'll be celebrating 70 years of creative excellence that drives growth for business and society. And our community tells us that one of the best things about coming to Cannes is the connections you make. So I'm sure all of you are going to have a phenomenal time, building new relationships and working on existing encounters to spark new thinking. And this week and throughout the year, we're committed to providing an inclusive experience. I'd love your feedback on that over the course of the festival. Catch me if you've got any feedback. Email me, franks@canneslions.com. I'd love to hear from you all on your perspectives at the festival. And as we reflect on the 70-year legacy of Cannes Lions, we celebrate its evolution, and Inkwell Beach is a vivid embodiment of the festival's commitment to change. Here, on this beach, we magnify the voices of underrepresented communities, weaving the narratives into the fabric of this event. And Inkwell Beach serves as a catalyst for the global creative community. It's here to shatter boundaries and to create access. And in my opinion, this is where ideas are brought to life, where collaboration has the power to transcend borders and where equity can truly flourish to spark global movements. So I want to extend my warmest welcome to all of you. It's a real privilege and pleasure to be here. Throughout your presence and contributions, we can forge this community here at the festival. We can strengthen it over time. And Inkwell Beach stands as a beacon of creativity and progress, a platform where the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion takes center stage. So today, we shine a vibrant light on the voices and experiences that are too often silenced or overshadowed. And here we're creating the platform that they rightfully deserve. So what I can say from my heart is that we are truly proud of this partnership. We're truly proud of working with CCDC. I'm new to the role. I started literally 7 weeks ago. And over that time, I'm not lost on the significance of Inkwell Beach and the significance of this partnership. So I want to welcome you to Inkwell Beach and to the Cannes Lions Festival. Let's make history together. And before I welcome Adrianne and our panelists to the stage, I want you to see a video that frames where this journey began.
There was a question up here. Oh, here.
Hi, my name is Adrianne Smith. I'm from New York. I wanted to say thank you for being here, and the words that you said, they were really inspiring. And one thing we were talking about the entire time we've been here is there are not a lot of people of color here. And we always talk about exposure and, making it broader. So since we've been here and you said people don't really do anything about it, they talk trash and they say, we're going to make it happen, we've decided to bring 10 young people of color back next year. And this is my first year, and we were so inspired, and thanks for having us here.
So, wow, thank you.
We're going to make sure. So you'll see us again next year with 10 people, and thanks for the reminder that you don't just talk about it, you really have to be about it. So we don't have any problems with saying, we're going to make it happen and there are issues. We won't make it an issue. We'll make it a solution, and we're going to bring the kids here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Adrianne and our panelists to the stage. Thank you.
Hello, hello, hello. You guys know how I love to start Inkwell Beach every year, and I always ask, on the count of 3, I want everyone under the sound of my voice to say yes. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Ooh, that feels so great, and I need you to do it one more time. On the count of 3, I need everyone under the sound of my voice to say yes. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Thank you. And again, let me tell you what you have agreed to. You are going to celebrate with us 5 years of activating at the Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity. Applause, applause. Give it to us. We made history on this stage, as Frank said, and we are so excited that you guys have come to join us and celebrate. And in the spirit of inclusion, I want to invite all of our guests to come to the stage. We have Tom Wong. We have Ryan Johnson. Tim, I called you Tom. Tim. Frank is here. And then we have our special guest, Elijah. He's going to join us as well. We impromptu in the spirit of inclusion. But really, as they take their seats, I want to just say thank you. I cannot say thank you enough to all the people who have made this happen. Judy Jackson, who was one of my day ones, who supported me with saying yes first. So thank you so much for opening it up. There's a whole IPG FCB crew who were one of my day ones who were willing to write personal checks. That was Vita Harris and Susan Cradle, who were just like, what do you need? They made personal phone calls to get people involved. Google was one of our first supporters. TV One was one of our first supporters. BBDO, I have to call them out because they are the foundation of which all of us are here for, because they started the first Fab Five, as I call them. So we want to give them a shout out. Please give them love. Give them a hand clap of praise. Also, Mike Warner, I don't know if he's out here somewhere, and I hate to be calling names because I'm going to forget everybody's name, but he's still here on the beach. There are many who started with us in the beginning. Mike is still here. Juan Woodbury, who's a Grammy Award winner. I have to say that. He's a Grammy Award winner. Who this space that you are in, the beautifulness that you see, Juan Woodbury created it. He's not here right now because he's a man of many jobs and he's a hustler, but he will be back and he will come and share the joy with us. But our volunteers who are here, I cannot say all their names, but please stand up, wave your hand. Thank you so much for being here. I have a day job. I'm the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer at Fleischman Hillard. We have a great program called FH for Inclusion, and they adopted us, and they are our agency of, agency of record, our AOR, and that crew is here from Fleischman Hillard, so thank you guys. It says a lot when an organization gives their time and resources to support inclusion. The mission at Fleischman Hillard is to be the most inclusive agency in the world. And what a better way to be an inclusive agency than supporting an organization like the Can Diversity Collective that's all about bringing in inclusion and creating space for others that have typically not been created. Who did I forget? My sponsors. You'll see them on the Step and Repeat. Love on them, share with them, connect with them. We have an amazing group of ambassadors that are here. This is cohort number 4, you guys. I want all of the ambassadors to stand up, wave around, because you are here. You are the foundation and the future of why CCDC is here. It is so important and imperative that I tell you guys to show up and show out. Let the world know that you are here. You are the future of this industry, and don't let anyone tell you any differently. It's because of you that we are here, and we are here because of you. So, have I forgotten anything? Please forgive my heart, but you know what my intentions are. The space of the Vega Luna, you've been so kind and gracious to us for allowing us to take over your space every year. We love you, Aisha. I know you're somewhere in here, but thank you so much for that support. Group Black, who we are here with, who you see powered by Group Black, no better way to be supported by an organization who's supporting creativity, media, and all of that. Procter & Gamble, another group that has been here with us from day one. We love to thank the day ones. That means they're committed to your future. Pre-George Floyd, let's say that, because that means it was not a reactionary thing, but it was a natural thing. So all of these people that you see here with us, pre-George Floyd, this is a natural part of their imperative business, and we love and support everything that you've been doing to support us. Okay, so I think I've drawn out the introductions too long. If I forgot you, just pull me to the side and just be like, yo, Adrianne. You know how y'all do with me. But I'm super excited about this panel. We have made history, and this is history. I think Judy mentioned it. Frank mentioned it. This is not even year one for Frank. This is like month one, that he is the first, hear me again, the first diversity lead of the Cannes Lions Festival. This is history because he is on the beach of the first DE&I activation in the history of Cannes Lions. We have to keep emphasizing that the work that we do creates moments like this, bringing people together. And as my mom and dad would say, and a black woman will lead them. So there you have that. We are creating the foundation and birthing ideas, birthing gifts, and I'm so proud to have these men with me who are here to talk about that spirit of inclusion and what we do. And you know what? I'm going to be totally transparent with you to say this panel was not planned. This panel is about what happens at Cannes Lions when you organically connect with people, when you listen to stories and listen to experiences, and they share with you. And this is, you know, really the beginning, and this is really the future of what Cannes Lions looks like. We have representatives from the Asian community, from the tech community, from the Hispanic community, and we are talking about what inclusion looks like when you create organic opportunities to storytell and grow. The conversation and foundation was really about how did you feel the first time you came to Cannes Lions? And I'm going to open it up to Tim so you can say why you're here. And then I have something to say about Ryan after Tim goes. So don't say anything.
Good morning, everyone. Can y'all hear me? Okay, awesome. Well, first of all, I want to give a huge shout out to Adrianne to really living out what it means to not just talk about it, but to be about it, because the spirit of inclusivity, I'm just warmed by your heart to be able to offer this platform for me to be able to share my story today, talking about the Asian creative and advertising experience. And sometimes what we see in this industry and also just what we've seen at Cannes. And so the question was, you know, what was my experience at Cannes? I went to the first Cannes last year. I should step back and say my background actually is in community, and so I have an advertising agency called TDW & Co. It's focused on helping to bridge the cultural communications gap between brands and the Asian consumer. And so because my background is somewhat unconventional, I've heard a lot about Cannes. I've never had a chance to go, so last year I was like, on a whim, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna show up, and I'm gonna just see what's all about. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really know anybody when I got here. I kind of landed. I didn't have cell service. I was like, where's my phone? I don't have data. What? I'm just bumming off of Wi-Fi from the Palais and the beaches just to be able to get by from beach to beach to beach. And I was really warmed by, I think, the global creative community here around what it means to use creativity and communications for good. And I was able to latch on to what seemed to be like festival veterans. And they would they pretty much saw me. I was like this lost puppy. They're like, come with me, child, and then just come with me from place to place to place. I couldn't help but recognize or kind of see when I was going from session to session or panel to panel, beach to beach, party to party, I really didn't see my people. Like, it was hard for me to kind of connect with my own, and I didn't really see my community being really represented. And so I took away from last year's experience. I said to myself, you know what, like, it was an amazing experience. Cannes has so much to offer. The connections, the conversations, you know, the ability to be able to be among those that are producing the best creative in the world, right? And I thought to myself, well, let's see how we can show up with more of our own community, those from the Asian community that also have this talent, also have this creativity, also have this ability to produce just amazing and beautiful work. And so because of that, what we did is we launched Stop at Nothing this year. It's a movement really celebrating the experiences of Asian creatives and advertising professionals here at Cannes. We have a cafe that we rented out. It's on Tuesday and Thursday. So if you guys have an opportunity to come by and check it out, stopatnothing.me. You can find out more information about that. But yeah, just so blessed and honored to be here and use this platform to be able to share our story. Thank you so much, Adrianne, for that.
Stop at nothing and get to their cafe. So as most of you know that, and thank you for sharing the story because it's very similar to my story and my experience here. So we hope to see you hear more and grow the Asian community at Cannes Lions. And most of you know that today is Juneteenth. Celebrate Juneteenth. Everybody, a round of applause for Juneteenth. But for me, Juneteenth is more of an information dissemination problem, right? I think if however many years ago, we had the technology, we had Twitter, we had Facebook, we would have sent a message and everyone would have known they were free in 30 seconds, right? Packed up and left where we were going. But since we did not, obviously there's a gap in terms of growth, there's a gap in terms of learning and connectivity, and I personally do not want us to have another Juneteenth moment. I want us to be able to bridge the gap of information dissemination, making sure that we stay connected and there's not this lag between others and the underrepresented communities. Most of you know that this year is Cannes Lions' first year of having and hosting a gaming award, right? And I had the honor of meeting Ryan last year. I told him, you know, we are taking you under our wings and come see me on the vineyard, come see me wherever. We'll always create a stage and space for you. Ryan runs an incredible organization called Community, which is solely, and I'm gonna let him tell the story because I'm gonna butcher it, but the idea is they host a gaming platform for HBCU students and HBCUs. So, which means that shows that we are in the game of gaming. So it was really important for me to have Ryan here to tell that story, especially from a technology standpoint, so people can see that early on, we're here, we can learn from what's happening on the main stage, and people can learn what's happening from us. They are hosting a gaming lounge at the CCDC house, and we can give you all that information. But we're in the game of gaming, and Ryan leads that movement. So Ryan, please tell them more about.
No, thank you a lot, Adrianne. And first off, good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Johnson, the founder and CEO of Community Media. Our mission is around future-proofing diversity in the video game and media industries. We got started, or the statistic that got our company started, is we found out back in 2019 that nearly 83% of African-American youth play video games on a weekly basis, but at the time, only 2% of African-Americans actually worked in the video game industry. Both myself and my co-founder, we both attended HBCUs, and also in 2019, there were over 250 predominantly white institutions in North America that had gaming programs, varsity teams, scholarships, or academic tracks that were allowing students to enter into this growing and emerging space. At the same time, again, there were 0 HBCUs in 2019 that had gaming programs on their campus. So one of our first initiatives was literally launching the first gaming league in North America for historically black colleges and universities. And we've just recently completed our 3rd season where we've literally worked with these institutions. We now have about 60 different HBCUs that compete within our various programs and leagues. And we do that through all
Round of applause for that. Yeah. You're just like so casual, like, you know, that's a huge feat. Come on.
No, so like what's really exciting about it is that it's not just gaming. Like we really specialize in making sure that one, agencies, brands are providing opportunities to these students that are identifying as gamers. So as an example, a lot of our gamers, they get access to internships throughout the summer through our corporate sponsors. Through our corporate sponsors, we've also in the first 3 years provided over $1.5 million worth of scholarships to these students. And so honestly, this all kind of accelerated. Truthfully, my first Cannes experience was actually last year as well. We recently, about a year ago, joined the group Black Collective, and then this was literally my first stage at Cannes Lion. And literally from that, the relationship with Adrianne began to grow, develop, and connect. So really excited to be here. Yes, to Adrianne's point, we have a really, really cool gaming experience that will be happening in the evening starting tomorrow up until Thursday at the house. But yeah, that's a little bit about community media. As I mentioned, this is the first year, as Adrianne mentioned, this is the first year that gaming is being recognized as a category because of the involvement of brands. And so we're just excited to have a seat at the table and have a strong influence on, especially of how gaming and brands are talking and leveraging our community for this space.
We're at the table right now. We're here now. So our final guest, and you have to pass the mic. That's the spirit. Pass the mic. Who's representing the Hispanic community. We literally met like 5 minutes before the panel, but it's so important for me to have you here. So welcome. Tell the story, because it's similar to my story. It's similar to Tim's story, so let's hear it.
Yeah, so to be honest, the first time I heard of Cannes...
Tell them your full name, because...
my name's Elijah Diaz. I have a studio called 3 Bars. Basically, we focus on being an attachment to larger agencies and brands' existing creative team. So we focus a lot on 3D, AR, VR, and alternate reality experiences. The idea is that, with 3D, you can actually do so much with one 3D file. You can bring it to a variety of different platforms, and even with the newness of AR and, even the Apple headset that's coming into play, that one file can be adapted to various different platforms for communities to be able to see, observe, or even create into advertisements or experiences. So this has been one of the things that has been my main focus. And, the other part is working with a lot of people in the Latino community. I try to hire out from diverse cultures and diverse, people that don't look like me. Or people that do look like me, It's I think it's very important that it's for other people to help other people overcome adversity as well, is to include them into projects that are happening and things that are kind of in the moment. So my first time at Cannes, I was kind of similar to everybody else's here. It was a little bit crazy. I came, I saw that they were having this festival, didn't know what it was. I bought a plane ticket, I came, was running to events, maybe drank a little bit too much sometimes, but it was more so to loosen up, because at the time I look around and there weren't people that exactly look like me, and I found myself sort of a little nervous, not knowing how to begin conversations with all these men in suits, and this year, that first time was probably about 3 years ago. Now I come with a lot more confidence and more individuality and, owning that individuality. And I think, it was really important for me to come back and to try to meet other people that look like myself. And support the Black and brown community, because I think that even with all you beautiful faces here, really seeing this diversity that I haven't seen 3 years ago, it's really amazing to see what influx of, the community that you guys have been supporting, and to see how it's impacting, even just people coming here. So, I want to thank you guys again for inviting me, and, I thank you guys so much for sharing what you do, and I think it's amazing, and I appreciate you having me.
So I'm going to put Frank on the spot, because this is his first time being on a stage at the Cannes Lions Festival. So we are honored that your first time on a Cannes Lions stage is at Inkwell Beach.
Thank you.
Based off of what you've seen, what do you see as that forward-focused moment for DE&I, the spirit of inclusion? You obviously see this is what global inclusion looks like, and the power of what happens when you bring these creative minds together. Give us sort of your vision and thought about this space and this experience.
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is how can we embed representation and equity into this festival? All of us know what it's like to be the only person in the room and what that feels like. One of the things I had to remind myself early on my journey in my career is that every room I walk into, I'm an equal. And that doesn't always feel obvious. So I think one of the fundamental things we want to look to in the future, with partnerships with Adrianne and Inkwell, with broadening what representation means at the festival, is how can we embed the true values of representation, where everyone feels seen, everyone feels heard, and there's an opportunity for access, because I think that is the key thing. When we talk about equity, it's often misunderstood. What equity actually means is reducing harm. It's reducing harm to communities that have historically been marginalized and minoritized. On a positive, what building equity means is making sure that pathways exist for global communities. When I say global, when we take this word coined by Kimberly Crenshaw of intersectionality, many of us have a layer cake of lived experiences. How we show up to work, how we show up to our friendship groups, how we show up to festivals like this, it's complicated because it's based on so many different things. So in order for us to truthfully embed equity and representation, it takes conversations. Sometimes those conversations are uncomfortable, and that's okay. It takes collaboration. We have to work together. And it takes community. So, I'm not lost on how significant Inkwell Beach being here is to the Cannes Lions Festival, International Festival of Creativity, and more so the significance of what this means to the future. And I hope all of you that are attending for the first time, you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel part of this community, because you being here is a significant moment in all of our futures. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
That's great. Before I say something, do you want to contribute more to that?
If I could just say, when we talk about the global creative community and we look at the population and the demographics of the global community, it is overwhelmingly the majority people of color, people from diverse backgrounds. A lot of talk about hey, we are the future. No, I think actually we are the today. Our community is here, and we are the today. And so that's just something else I'd love to add to.
Yeah. And I'll just quickly add from a global, just through our lens, some of our friends that are actually coming later today and tomorrow, as I told Adrian, there was a 5,000 in-person gaming tournament that happened over this past weekend in Nigeria. The opportunities, as we're talking about the global creator economy, especially through the lens of gaming, it's massive. One of the things, as we study a lot of technology and work with partners like Microsoft, is as broadband and internet become more accessible, there's a projection that nearly 200 to 300 more million people will be online alone just on the continent of Africa. And so when we look at that, it's what programs, what type of partnerships are going to have to exist already to be able to really, because this is not something that's developing, it's literally happening. It happened. And so as we look at that, it's what can we do in these ecosystems, in these forums, to create programs for not the future but the now, because the time is here. And I think the connectivity of the internet is making these things more accessible, but we just have to find out about it. And so these platforms like Cannes are a massive opportunity to have these conversations and discussions.
That's amazing. You were going to say something?
Absolutely. I think one of the big things is, Cannes really provides, a looking point for a lot of creatives in underserved communities and all over the world specifically. One of the reasons why I try to work with a lot of Hispanic people in various different places is that, they don't really get the opportunity to work on certain projects. So whether it be something that's a little bit bigger or something that just gets them in the door, I really love working with them because, we can connect on a level where, they weren't able to with other people they were reaching out to, or the DMs they were sending, the messages they were messaging on LinkedIn and they didn't get replies. It's some of the things that it's really humbling for me because I really get to see a lot of people sort of grow themselves and gain confidence. They're not my work is just horrible. No, it's not. It's just that it's not getting seen. So being able to provide that platform and, for other people that have provided the platform for me as well, even being here, it has definitely helped. And, I can go back and go show the people that work with me, where we are right now. And this is something that they can look up to want to come next year or the following year and then tell their community as well in their home countries. So I think this is very important to have this sort of stage and to also have this platform for them to continuously move and have people that they can look up to and look forward to, like yourselves as well. Posting the content, posting that you're here, posting that, you guys are making the connections that you otherwise wouldn't because of this community is very important. Because even for myself, I've seen people that were in my community. My father has a fashion background. So being able to see him going a lot to the shows such as like Agenda, Project New York, all these things before, Project Las Vegas, he was flying back and forth from Japan. It was one of those things that like kind of set the stage for me, and to see other people that were in his community as well, really kind of make it out of, Queens and Brooklyn, they were first gen, so they didn't know anything about the industry. So seeing in their respective industries, them being able to grow kind of gave me that platform. So I feel like it's only my duty to do the same for other people.
I love the idea of give back. And two things, I know both of you are in the tech world, and what's happening right now is the AI movement, ChatGPT, and a lot of the information that comes out is still a little biased in terms of the type of information that is produced. If we're looking from sort of this global perspective, this new technology that seems to be, it is sort of taking over, what are you guys doing from a technology standpoint, or even from a DEI perspective, leaders from your community, to make sure that that messaging is still, or now, or is more diverse in terms of, and more inclusive in terms of the messages that are being reproduced and recycled?
Yeah, I'll start and pass. I think ethical AI is going to be like a huge topic. It is a topic now. I think through the lens of us, though, it's about exposure and awareness. What we found overwhelming is that, well, let me say this, exposure and awareness, and then also access to product. So what we found, especially when we're based in Atlanta, Georgia. We work very heavily in the Atlanta public schools. There's an overwhelming amount of students that want to get into computer science, that want to get into STEM, but literally they don't have the devices at home, and or the schools may not have the proper technology on site to actually teach them. And a lot of this is replicated up K through 12, also somewhat to the university level. So our version now of kind of like fighting that is, one, with our collegiate students and also our young professional network, helping bridge that gap immediately for those who have some of the credentials and skills but may not have the doors open, to get them in the doors, to get the jobs, to have the conversations, to then say, hey, look, you all are writing this line of code. Did you know that this line of code will impact this entire zip code of people, because you're unnaturally thinking about, hey, this is not a well part of town or something along those lines. And at a younger age, we partner with groups like the Boys and Girls Club of America, and we do like aftercare and weekend programs to actually teach young kids who love Fortnite about, how do you build, this is architecture. I don't know if a lot of folks know now, but within games like Fortnite, you can completely design and build levels. As an example of that, young people are starting LLCs, and they're being hired by corporations to design in-game worlds to then play branded environments inside of video games. So there's this whole new economy from a tech creator and just pure business and marketing standpoint that we're really trying to produce and introduce to these young people. But to your point, though, for us, we've just recognized the largest gap is literally access to product. One thing I want to call out, a lot of times people ask, like, why do we spell community with an X? What we've found is that usually the biggest separation when we talk about the lens of gaming is those who grow up having access to consoles versus those who have access to computers. And so for us, we want to be inclusive of the entire gaming space, and X is the only button that's across the Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, and of course a keyboard. So that's like one of our main reasons why we wanted to kind of tap into this space. But that's just like our perspective, how we look at and like how we're looking to like bridge that gap.
That was cool. Very cool. Thank you. Because we always ask, why do they spell it with X? But now we know. Okay.
Ryan, to add to your point, I think it's an amazing source that you're providing for a lot of the community. One of the things I really do appreciate is the fact that you mentioned that, you're making it more accessible for the community in the first place. I think the first step is showing the people the door and then letting them walk up the steps and open it. One of the things that I've seen a lot is with open source software, similar to AI, DALL-E, and ChatGPT. I think it does provide another platform of learning for a lot of the community, because you're not just asking Google, and you're not just getting a biased answer from one person to the other. I feel like the ability to train the AI to your sort of needs is also very helpful. There definitely is some bias, and that's a larger discussion. But even as a resource for people that have been asking me in my community, younger people, they're asking me, oh, how does this work? How does this work? I'm like, I don't show them to Google, go to Google. I ask them, did you check ChatGPT? Did you ask your specific question? And formulate what your plan is, and then come to me, and then we can work on it together. So it kind of gives them more of an opportunity to have a template for themselves, so they can come at face value and really feel confident in what they're bringing me, and also I can help them get to the next level. So I really appreciate the fact that open source software has been really great for the community, because, for example, Blender. Blender is an open source software. A lot of people in the gaming community use it for Roblox and all these different platforms that young children are building on. And the funny thing is that a lot of these kids are making money off gaming. Whether it's selling wearables, like little characters that they like in the game, and parents sometimes have their credit cards on there and they're spending tons of money. So it's really nice to see like that a lot of younger kids are getting into the space, and then really allowing us to sort of explore the open source community, because Blender does have a large variety of YouTube videos and lessons and stuff, how to use the program in general. So I think open source software is very beneficial, and I think used correctly can really help the community in underserved areas.
Well, we have a few minutes left, and I always think it's, in these open communities is being able to create voice and allow people to ask questions. Anyone have a question that is just pressing on you that you would really have this opportunity to ask this global representation of people for our panel? Anyone? Yes? No, come grab a mic, please. You can have my mic, one of these mics, yeah.
Thank you so much. Good morning, panelists, audience members. Emmanuel Reed, Ogilvy, Chicago, also one of the 2023 Cannes Diversity Collective ambassadors. My question is about really globalization and integration. There's a young lady here, I don't think she's here. Oh, Danny, she's a CEO and founder of a program for a black woman based out of Brazil. But it's all about connecting black women to the white space in the creative communities and the creative cultural environments in Brazil, which she saw lacked black women. For all of you up here who seem to have an idea of how to scale as founders and then as well as executive members, what is it like, and what's been your processes for your respective organizations about remembering the goal, but also being aware of how to actually, when you scale this is going to attract different communities. Each of you have your various lived experiences and backgrounds, which you spoke to. But Ryan, for example, when you're talking about the gaming industry globally, this question isn't for you, it's for all, but just for an example, when you're talking about integrating the future of video gaming in the continent of Africa, obviously that might be different from your HBCU Black American experience. So as each of you talk about globalization of your spaces and your industries, I'm curious, as all of us in our respective spaces want to remember obviously from where we come, but also then when you're talking about really getting your businesses in front of the people that matter and in front of the funding that matters, you have to entertain more conversations about integration and so how that would affect your business. I think would be really appreciated.
So maybe I'll start and can pass along. So that's a wonderful question. Thank you. I'd say we're still in the process of trying to figure that out ourselves. I mean, to be very honest, I think that after coming back from Cannes last year, I had mentioned that we wanted to show up this year, providing a safe space for our community to gather. This is the global stage. This is the place to do it. We want to be out here and show up. And we didn't really know how it'll be received, but we've received an overwhelming response of support. I mean, Adrianne hearing our story and sharing us our space here. We're going to be speaking at Meta Beach later. Brand Innovators is also sharing some of our panels. We have a panelist, Michelle Wong, who's going to be speaking at WPP Beach in an hour and a half. We have so much support from the community that wants to embrace this and endorse our story and amplify. And who knows where it'll go. It was funny, we were talking a little bit about this last night. I was like, this is not an organization, it's kind of a movement. should it be an organization in the future? Should it be a 501c3 and see where it goes into the future? We don't know, but we're just learning, I think, in our first year of just what kind of appetite people have. We do know that there's a need, and just see how this can be, fulfilling that need. So, yeah.
Do you want me to go? Yeah, sure. So before my role at Cannes Lions, I was CEO of a global diversity, equity, and inclusion organization called Variety Pack, something I founded about 5 years ago. And to speak to your question, there's a lot of complexity to that. I think firstly, it starts with having a global strategy. What are the key values and key pillars that we are trying to integrate into every single territory across the globe? But that's the kind of high level, because that's where it gets more detailed. When you look at level down, we focus on this word of localization. Everything we do has to be localized to communities. There's cultural nuance there. There's ethnography. There is the real study of an understanding of what is important to those global communities and how can messages be relevant and how can access be democratized. And to go back to Ryan's point in terms of closing the access gap, when we think about innovation, it has to be inclusive. So when we attach this word equity to innovation, what that fundamentally means are the builders in the process are also formed of underrepresented communities, and the outcomes of innovation helps to amplify those same communities. So it's really thinking about it from a strategic perspective and knowing that in order for you to credibly, have a globalized brand that is localized to each market, it takes a lot of understanding in terms of what is important to these communities, and more importantly, how can we, with all integrity, show up for these communities in the best way possible when innovating and creating amazing new ideas.
Yeah, and I'll add in, even kind of like leaning to your example, how we found success this far is honestly through partnerships and then transparent and somewhat difficult sometimes conversations. As an example, even when we're talking about Africa, Africa for us is not successful if our partners and I don't figure out how we make that successful to bridge that gap. Because to your point, we don't have the cultural insights. We don't really have the community that we've built in North America. And that's actually how we've gotten to this part this far. We had an idea, we have a mission, we have a vision, and we were fortunate that early on, Amazon and Twitch actually bought into that vision. So from our lens, we actually were able to get somewhat national and global distribution of our story and our message through a platform of Twitch and actually live streaming. So for us within community, our three main, I would say, audiences are African American and underrepresented folks in North America, within Africa, and then also we have a very, very strong fan base in the Philippines, ironically enough. And so we're actually able to bridge all of these communities together through our Discord server. And so over time, you have these groups interacting with each other online all week, literally Americans, Africans, Filipinos, and the shared interest is the lack of access to gaming in their various communities, in their own various situations and circumstances. And we're just fortunate when we broadcast live from Atlanta through our Twitch platform, it may be different times, but people in North America, Africa, and Philippines are actually able to receive, connect, and actually understand. And so for us, it's a long, long journey, but that's how we've done it this far. And so literally we lean on partnerships for a lot of the things that we do, also hence how we ended up being a partner of Inkwell, and just also trying to figure out how do we bring these entire collectives forward, as we're building and growing.
Anyone else? Yeah.
To be honest, this is my first year really, taking, these first couple of years have been my real step forward to pulling myself into the Latino community. A lot of the times, I felt like I had to adapt a lot. So I feel like one of the things that I've been more focused on is, coming to these events and being more an inclusive environment. Because, as you guys have started, your own sort of sections and have been growing, that's something that I want to start doing. And it's something that I think is very important. One thing that I have started was, I've been reaching out to a lot of the people at Dumbo House in New York City. And my whole goal is to bring a lot of people that are in the creative community and kind of show them the different ropes and the different avenues that people have to sort of gain access to, connections and network, and even from anything from invoicing and learning how to grow your own personal brand. It's more of a, what's it called, on the ground type work, but it's something that is really important to me and I would like to sort of push into the future.
Okay, as we wrap up, because I got the sign of 10 more minutes, and we're only going to take 5 of those. What we've heard here is the importance of community, and we've heard the importance of being forward-focused in terms of our thinking. Not about the future, because it is about now, but how are we forward-focused in terms of building community and making change happen. Our next steps would be, if you had a next step leaving here, to push the forward-focused movement of inclusion, of making sure that what you see now and an extension of us is the forward-focused movement. What is your next step for 2024?
Adrian, I'm completely humble, blessed, honored to be here because I just feel that your spirit of inclusivity really shows through. And I think that, for us, we'd love to just continue to have more engagement with not just the Asian community, but allyship, just our brothers and sisters from other cultures and other communities, and just have those shared experiences, between each other, being able to learn from one another. So that's
Awesome.
probably the next step.
Okay, what's your next step?
So I think for us, it's
2024.
2024, spreading it forward. We talked about this on the vineyard. We tried to figure it out this year. It didn't work out, which is fine. Next year we will bring HBCU students and we will do a gaming tournament. That is a goal. That is a goal.
So we do have 3 here. So they're going to be included too in your project. So we're committed to them.
Actually one of my alpha brothers out here, I just met him from NCAT, which is dope. But no, that is actually like a big goal and aspiration, especially as gaming is going to continue to grow at the festival. We definitely want to make sure that we have representation not only in panelists and business, but also show the competitive side of that as well. So help us. We'll be here. We would love to do it on the Inkwell stage.
Done. We're holding you accountable. Hold us accountable. Next year will be the first HBCU tournament, gaming tournament.
Here.
Happening at Inkwell. If you don't do it, don't ever come see us again. Okay, no.
We're going to make it happen.
Make it happen. Go.
Well, firstly, I want to pick up Adrian. Kudos to you. Kudos to the work. Kudos to what you achieved. I think it's phenomenal. From my perspective, I'm focusing on our strategy at Cannes Lions, and that's going to be a big part of the next few months. I'm excited to dive into that. And with that, I want to be able to collaborate. So, when you have ideas, when you have perspectives, do come to me, do approach me, and I look forward to seeing you at future festivals. So.
Wonderful. 2024 commitment. Go. Yeah, thank you.
So 2024, I did reach out to some people at Cannes Lions and, was mentioning that I would love to put a Latino community panel together. I think that would be amazing to have a lot of people come and kind of share their story from, our background and sort of connect with the rest of the community.
So I want to thank our panelists, but before we walk off the stage, I want to emphasize our message and our theme this week is expect the unexpected. And hopefully you got some unexpected gifts from this panel. We say expect the unexpected. We want to move from the woe is me to the wow is me of DE&I. So please be an evangelist from moving from woe to wow. And that's what we're doing here. And 2, let me just say that, Inkwell Beach and the spirit of Inkwell was all committed on a foundation of love and love of community. And I say love intentionally. If anybody's in that, if you can knock, you're standing next to that symbol, can you knock on the door and there's a woman in there, her name is Love Malone? Yeah. Her name is Love Malone. Love. So I'm telling the story, Love, because the spirit of Inkwell is built off of love for community, love for inspiration, love for inclusion. And it's Love's fault that all of this really, I'm giving her full credit, because I came to Cannes Lions for the first time with love, right? With the love of actual name and love in spirit of, our community. And on that was being able to found and bring more people, the first 5 to 25 to this beach, a global community. We have a representative from Singapore this year, from Brazil. Last year we had Africa, we had North America. We're a global community, right? And we want you guys to continue to be evangelists for us. And I want to thank Love for creating this moment for me because I tagged along on her trip. She was a part of a program that I ran at Howard University. She excelled and became a global director at BBDO, a global director at Ogilvy, and she's a superstar. Please connect with her. She has a company called The Gradient, which is an organization that helps connect talent. They also hosted the platform for our Inclusion Awards, which is tonight. We are the only organization that hosts an Inclusion Awards. You know, somebody said, you don't ask for permission, you ask for forgiveness. We created an Inclusion Awards because Cannes Lions does not do it. So the Cannes Diversity Collective is hosting our AYA Inclusion Award tonight at Inkwell Beach. We encourage you all to come back. I thank you, Love, for the inspiration. I thank you all for joining us on this first panel and great kickoff of the 5th anniversary of the Cannes Diversity Collective's Inkwell Beach. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you guys. We are the forward-focused movement of Cannes Lions.
Amazing.